mute. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. Assalamu alaikum, dear community members. We'll start our Thursday night program with the recitation of Quran. We'll recite Surah Shams, inshallah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والشمس وضحاها والقمر إذا تلاها والنهار إذا جلاها والليل إذا يغشاها والسماء وما بناها والأرض وما طحاها ونفس وما سواها فألهمها فجورها وتقواها قد أفلح من زكاها وقد خاب من دساها كذبت ثمود بطغواها إذ انبعث أشقاها فقال لهم رسول الله ناقة الله وسقياها فكذبوه فعقروها فدمدم عليهم ربهم بذنبهم فسواها ولا يخاف عقباها صدق الله العلي العظيم. In the name of Allah, the All-Beneficent, the All-Merciful, by the sun and her forenoon splendor, by the moon when he follows, by the day when it reveals her, by the night when it covers her, by the sky and him who built it, by the earth and him who spread it, by the soul and him who fashioned it, and inspired it with discernment between its virtues and vices. One who purifies it is felicitous, and one who betrays it fails. The people of Thamud denied Allah's signs out of their rebellion. When the most wretched of them rose up, the apostle of Allah had told them, "This is Allah's she-camel, let her drink." But they impugned him and hamstrung her. So their Lord took them unawares by night because of their sin and leveled it. And he does not fear its outcome. Sadaqallahul aliyyul azim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammadin wa ajj. Now we'll have Dua Kumail recitation by Brother Hasnan Zaidi. Please recite aloud salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammadin wa ajjil farajah.
अस्सलामु अलैकुम वरहमतुल्लाहि व बरकातुहू। और मोहम्मद वाले मोहम्मद सलावत। बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम। अल्लाहुम्मा इन्नी असअलुका बिरहमतिका अल्लती वसिअत कुल्ल शै व बिकुव्वतिका अल्लती कहरत बिहा कुल्ल शै वक़द लहा कुल्ल शै वज़ल्ललहा कुल्ल शै व बिजबरूतिका अल्लती गलबत बिहा कुल्ल शै व बिइज़्ज़तिका अल्लती ला यक़ूमु लहा शै व बिअज़मतिका अल्लती मलअत कुल्ल शै व बिसुल्तानिका अल्लज़ी अला कुल्ल शै व बिवजहिकल बाति बाद फ़नाए कुल्ल शै व बिअस्माइका अल्लती मलअत अरकान कुल्ल शै व बिइल्मिका अल्लज़ी अहात बिकुल्ल शै व बिनूरि वज्हिका अल्लज़ी अज़ालहु कुल्ल शै या नूरो या कुद्दूस या नूरो या कुद्दूस या नूरो या कुद्दूस या अव्वलल अव्वलीन व या आखिरल आखिरीन अल्लाहुम्मा अग़फ़िर ली अज़्ज़ुनूब अल्लती तात कुल सम अल्लाहुम्मा अग़फ़िर ली अज़्ज़ुनूब अल्लती तुनज़िलुन निक़म अल्लाहुम्मा अग़फ़िर ली अज़्ज़ुनूब अल्लती तुग़य्यिरुन निअम अल्लाहुम्मा अग़फ़िर ली अज़्ज़ुनूब अल्लती तहबिसुद दुआ अल्लाहुम्मा अग़फ़िर ली अज़्ज़ुनूब अल्लती तक़तउर रजा अल्लाहुम्मा अग़फ़िर ली अज़्ज़ुनूब अल्लती तुनज़िलुल बला अल्लाहुम्मा अग़फ़िर ली कुल्ल ज़ंबिन अज़नबतु व कुल्ल ख़तीयतिन अख़्तातुहा अल्लाहुम्मा इन्नी अतक़र्रबु इलैका बिज़िक्रिक व अस्तशफ़िउ बिका इला नफ़्सिक व असअलुका बिजूदिका अन तुदनियनी मिन क़ुर्बिक व अन तूज़ियनी शुक्रक व अन तुल्हिमनी ज़िक्रक असअलुका अस्वाल क़ाज़िन मुतज़ल्लिलिन ख़ाशिइन अन तुसामिअनी व तरहमनी बिक़िस्मिका राज़ियन क़ानिआ व फ़ी जमील अहवाल मुतवाज़िआ अल्लाहुम्मा असअलुका अस्वाल मन इश्तदत फ़ाक़तुहु व अनज़ला बिका इंद शदाइद हाजतुहु व अज़मा फ़ीमा इंदका रग़बतुहु अल्लाहुम्मा अज़मा सुल्तानुका व अला मकानुका व ख़फ़िया मकरुका व ज़ाहरा अमरुका व ग़लबा कारुका व जरत क़ुदरतुका वला युमकिनुल फ़िरार मिन हुकूमतिक अल्लाहुम्मा ला अजिदु लिज़ुनूबी गाफ़िरा वला लिक़बाही सातिरा वला लिशैइन मिन अमलिल कबिय्य बिल हसन मुबद्दिलन गैरक ला इलाहा इल्ला अंत सुब्हानक व बिहम्दिक ज़लमतु नफ्सी ज़लमतु नफ्सी ज़लमतु नफ्सी व तजर्रतु बिजहली व सकन्तु इला कदीम ज़िक्र कली व मन्निका अलैया अल्लाहुम्मा मौलाया कम मिन कबीहिन सतरता वकम मिन फादिम मिनल बलाय अकलता वकम मिन निसारिन वकैता वकम मिन मकरूहिन दफाता वकम मिन फनाइन जमीलन लस्तलहु नशरता अल्लाहुम्मा आज़मा बलाई वाफरता बी सुहाली वकसरत बी आमाली वकआदत बी अगलाली वहबसनी अन्नफ़े बोदो आमाली वक़दतनी दुनिया बेगरूरिहा व नफ्सी बेखियानतिहा व मिताली या सय्यदी फ़असअलुका बिइज़्ज़तिका अन ला यजबा अन्का दुआई सू अमली व फ़िआली वला तफ़ज़ानी बेखफ़ी मत्तलात अलैहि मिन सिर्री वला तुआजिलनि बिलअक़ूबति अला मा मिलतिही फ़ी खलवाती मिन सूफ़ेली व इसाती व दवाम तफ़रीती व जहालती व कसरती शहवाती व गफ़लती व कुनिल्लहुम्मा बिइज़्ज़तिका ली फ़ी कुल्लिल अहवालि रऊफ़ा व अलय्या फ़ी जमील अमूरि अतूफ़ा इलाही व रब्बि मन लि गैरुक अस्अलहु कश्फ़ ज़ुर्री वन नज़रा फ़ी अमरी इलाही व मौलाय अजरैत अलय्या हुक्मन इत्तबअतु फ़ीहि हवा नफ़्सी वलम आतरिस फ़ीहि मिन तज़ीनी अदुव्वी फ़गर्रनी बिमा वसअदहु अला ज़ालिकल क़दा फ़तजावज़तु बिमा जरा अलय्या मिन ज़ालिका बाज़ हुदूदे व ख़ालफ़त बाज़ अवामिरे फ़लकल हुज्जतु अलय्या फ़ी जमीइ ज़ालिक वला हुज्जत ली फ़ीमा जरा अलय्या फ़ीहि क़ज़ाउ वअल्ज़मनी हुक्मुका व बलाउ वक़तैतुका या इलाही बाद तक़सीरी व इसराफ़ी अला नफ़्सी मुतज़िरन नादिमा मुनकसिरन मुस्तक़ीला मुस्तग़फ़िरन मुनीबा मुक़िर्रन मुज़िनन मुतरिफ़ा ला अजिदु मफ़र्र मिम्मा कान मिन्नी वला मफ़ज़ान अतवज्जहु इलैहि फ़ी अमरी गैर कबूलिका उज़री व इदख़ालिका इय्या फ़ी साअत मिन रहमतिक अल्लाहुम्मा फ़क़बल उज़री वरहम शिद्दत दुर्री वफ़ुक्कनी मिन शद्दि वताक़ी या रब्बिरहम ज़ाफ़ा बदनी या रब्बिरहम ज़ाफ़ा बदनी या रब्बिरहम ज़ाफ़ा बदनी व रिक्कत जिल्दी व दिक्कत अदमी या मन बदा खल्की व ज़िक्री व तरबियती व बिर्री व तग़ज़ियती अबनी लिब्तदाए करमिक व सालिफ़ बिर्रिक बी या इलाही व सय्यदी व रब्बी अतुराका मुअज़्ज़बी बिनारिका बाद तौहीदिक व बाद मन तवा अलैहि क़ल्बी मिन मअरिफ़तिक व लहिजा बिही लिसानी मिन ज़िक्रिक व तकादहु ज़मीरी मिन हुब्बिक व बाद सिद्क़ तिराफ़ी व दुआई ख़ाज़िअन लिरुबूबियतिक हैहात अंता अक्रमो मिन अन तुज़य्या मन रब्बैता औ तुबैदा मन अदनैता औ तुशर्रिदा मन आवैता औ तुसल्लिमा इलल बलाए मन कफ़ैतहु व रहिमता व लैत शेरी या सय्यदी व इलाही व मौलाया तुसल्लितुन नार अला वजूहिन खर्रत लिअज़मतिका साजिदा वाला सुनिन्नतकत बितौहीदिका सादिका व बिशुक्रिका मादिहा वाला कलूबिन तरफत बिलाहियतिका मुहक्किका वाला ज़माइरा हवत मिनल इल्मे बिका हत्ता सारत खाशिया वाला जवारिहा सातिला तान तअब्बुदिका ताया وأشارت باستغفارك مزئنا ما هكذا الظن بك ولا أخبرنا بفضلك عن يا كريم يا رب يا كريم يا رب يا كريم يا رب وأنت تعلم ضعفي عن قليل من بلاء الدنيا وعقوباتها وما يجري فيها من المكاره على أهلها ألا أن ذلك بلاء ومكروه قليل مكتوب يسير بقاء كثير مدته فكيف تمالي لبلاء الآخرة وجليل بقوء المكاره فيها وهو بلاء تطول مدته ويدوم مقامه ولا يخفف عن أهله لأنه لا يكون إلا عن غضبك وانتقامك وسخطك وهذا ما لا تقوم له السماوات والأرض يا سيدي فكيف بي وأنا عبدك الضعيف الذليل الحقير المسكين المستكين يا إلهي وربي وسيدي ومولاي لأي الأمور إليك أشكو ولما من هذا الجوع وأبكي لأليم العذاب وشدته أم لطول البلاء ومدته فلئن سيرتني للعقوبات مع أعدائك وجمعت بيني وبين أهل بلائك وفرقت بيني وبين أحبائك وأوليائك فهبني يا إلهي وسيدي ومولاي وربي صبرت على عذابك فكيف أصبر على فراقك وهبني صبرت على حر نارك فكيف أصبر عن النظر إلى كرامتك أم كيف أسكن في النار ورجائي يفوق فبعزتك يا سيدي ومولاي أقسم صادقا لئن تركتني ناطقا لأزجن إليك بين لهذا زجيج الآمنين ولا أصرخن إليك صراخ المستصرخين ولا أبكين عليك بكاء الفاقدين ولا أنادينك أين كنت يا ولي المؤمنين يا غاية آمال العارفين يا غياث المستغيثين يا غياث المستغيثين يا غياث المستغيثين يا حبيب قلوب الصادقين ويا إله العالمين أفتراك سبحانك يا إلهي وبحمدك تسمع فيها صوت عبد مسلم سجن فيها بمخالفته وذاك تام عذابها بمعصيته وحبس بين أطباقها بجرمه وجريرته وهو يزج إليك زجيج مؤمل لرحمتك ويناديك بلسان آل توحيدك ويتوسل إليك بربوبيتك يا مولاي فكيف يبقى في العذاب وهو يرجو ما سلف من حلمك أم كيف تؤلمه النار وهو يعمل فضلك ورحمتك أم كيف يوركه لهيبها وأنت تسمع صوت وترى مكانا أم كيف يشتمل عليه زفيرها وأنت تعلم ضعفها أم كيف يتكلكل بين أطباقها وأنت تعلم صدقها أم كيف تزجره زبانيتها وهو يناديك يا ربا أم كيف يرجو فضلك في إتكه منها فتتركه فيها هيهات ما ذلك الظن بك ولا المعروف من فضلك ولا مشبه لما عملت به المواهدين من برك وإحسانك فباليقين أقطع لما حكمت به من تعذيب جاهدي وقضيت به من إخلاد معانديك لجعلت النار كلها بردا وسلاما وما كان لأحد فيها مقرا ولا مقاما لكنك تقدست أسماؤك أقسمت أن تملأها من الكافرين من الجنة والناس أجمعين وأن تخلد فيها المعاندين وأنت جل ثناؤك قلت مبتدئا وتطولت بالإنعام متكرما أفمن كان مؤمنا كمن كان فاسقا لا يستوون إلهي وسيدي فأسألك بالقدرة التي قدرتها وبالقضية التي حتمتها وحكمتها وغلبت من عليه أجريتها أن تهب لي في هذه الليلة وفي هذه الساعة كل جرم أجرمته وكل ذنب أذنبته وكل قبيح أسررته وكل جهل نملته كتمته أو أعلنته أخفيته أو أظهرته وكل سيئة أمرت بإثباتها الكرام الكاتبين الذين وكلتهم بحفظ ما يكون مني وجعلتهم شهودا علي مع جوارحي وكنت أنت الرقيب علي من ورائهم وشاهد لما خفي عنهم وبرحمتك أخفيتا وبفضلك سترتا وأن توفر حظ من كل خير تنزله أو إحسان تفزله أو بر تنشره أو رزق تبسطه أو ذنب تغفره أو خطأ تستره يا رب 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 يا إلهي وسيدي ومولاي ومالك رزقي يا من بيده ناصيتي يا عليما بذكري ومسكنتي يا خبيرا بفقري وفاقتي يا رب 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 أسألك بحقك وقدسك وعظم صفاتك وأسمائك أن تجعل أوقاتي في الليل والنهار بذكرك مأمورا وبخدمتك موصولا وأعمالي عندك مقبولا حتى تكون أعمالي وأورادي كلها وردا واحدا وحالي في خدمتك سرمدا يا سيدي يا من عليه مولي يا من إليه شكوت أحوالي يا رب 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 قوي على خدمتك جوارحي واشدد على العزيمة جوانه وهب لي الجد في خشيتك والدوام في الاتصال بخدمتك حتى أسرع إليك في ميادين السابقين وأسرع إليك في المبادرين واشتاق إلى قربك في المشتاقين وأدنو منك دنو المخلصين وأخافك مخافة الموقنين واجتمع في جوارك مع المؤمنين اللهم ومن أرادني بسوء فارد ومن كادني فكد واجعلني من أحسن عبيدك نصيبا عندك وأقربهم منزلة من وخصهم زلفة لديك فإنه لا ينال ذلك إلا بفضلك وجد لي بجودك وعطف علي بمجدك واحفظني برحمتك وجل لساني بذكرك لهجا وقلبي بحبك متيما ومن علي بحسن إجابتك واكلني أثرتي واغفر زلتي فإنك قضيت على عبادك بعبادتك وأمرتهم بدعائك وزمنت لهم الإجابة فإليك يا رب نصبت وجهي وإليك يا رب مددت يدي فبعزتك أستجب لدعائي فبلغني منايا ولا تقطع من فضلك رجائي واكفني شر الجن والإنس من أعدائي يا سريع الرضا يا سريع الرضا يا سريع الرضا اغفر لمن لا يملك إلا الدعاء فإنك فعال لما تشاء يا من اسمه دواء وذكره شفاء وطاعته غنى ارحم من راس ماله الرجاء وسلاه البكاء يا سابغ النعم يا دافع النقم يا نور المستوحشين في الظلم يا عالما لا يعلم صل على محمد وآل محمد وفل بما أنت آله وصلى الله على رسوله والأئمة الميامين من آله وسلم تسليما كثيرا كثيرا صلوات
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
حاجات
Jazakallah, brother Hassan Zaidi, for the beautiful recitation. Please recite a loud salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammadin wa ajil. Just a quick announcement regarding ICZ family picnic, which is planned on July 11th, Sunday, 2 p.m. Please look at the brochure that was sent, a flyer that was shared on the WhatsApp groups to register, inshallah. Yeah, it was sent on the email as well. Now I would like to request Surah Fatiha for the marhumin of the sponsors, for all marhumin and marhumat of our community, for the people whose names are written on the monument of Zahra, and for all those there's no one to recite Fatiha for. The names of the marhumin are Sayyid Afsar Hussain Zaidi, Sayyid Sarwar Hussain Zaidi, Zakiya Khatun, Asmat Fatima, Sayyid Asghar Hussain Zaidi, son of Wajid Ali, Shamsun Nisa, Bashirun Nisa, Sayyid Abdul Jalil, Sayyida Bibi, Sayyid Shabir Hassan Rizvi, Shaharbanu Bibi, Kaniz Banu Bibi, Shahjahan Bibi, Sayyid Mushtaq Hussain Naqvi. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Muhammadin wa ajil farajahum. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا حبيب قلوبنا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد
وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين ولعنة الدائمة على أعدائهم أجمعين من الآن إلى لقاء يوم الدين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. Alhamdulillah, thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for His great tawfiq. Again, another Shabbat Jum'ah together. May Allah inshallah make it zakhira and reward for dunya wal akhirah inshallah. Bi barakati salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Salla ala Muhammad. Shabbat Jum'ah, Shabbat Amwat, inshallah all of them will have the inshallah a share from the blessings of this night. Marhumin and marhumat from the inshallah the whole community, brothers and sisters present in this gathering in this majlis tonight, and all marhumin and marhumat inshallah, marhum Hashim Jafari and all inshallah have the share from the blessings of tonight. Recite salawat and hamd and surah. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa Muhammad. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Yeah, it's already online for online. So as you all aware, alhamdulillah, we are following the new course that we are following, the history of Islam from the beginning, reviewing the the history of Islam from the beginning, the history of Rasulullah himself, from his childhood back to the situation of Muslims at the beginning of Islam, what happened to them, all the ways to establishing Islam and forward, inshallah. So we have to, I remember maybe 20 years ago, I went to one of my ustads and I asked him, help us, inshallah, extra curriculum. Let me know what kind of things you recommend me to study for myself, beside the Hawza studies and everything else. He mentioned 4 different categories that I want you to focus on. And whoever comes to ask us about what kind of things we should study, we should learn, I usually share the same thing. He said, first and foremost, Quran, your own study, do your research, tafsir of Quran, whatever you can do. Have at least step-by-step, gradually, full tafsir of Quran, one tafsir of Quran from the beginning, No rush into it, step-by-step go. And I recommend all of us, inshallah, to do that. Easy tafsir, inshallah, whatever tafsir we have, Shia tafsir, inshallah, fine. The second one, I said history of Islam. It's very important. Learn the history of Islam, the true history of Islam, what happened in Islam. You need to learn about this. The third one is fiqh. Of course, learn about fiqh, and of course, akhlaq as well, to learn about this. So the history of Islam is so important because the root of our beliefs and religion is in the history. We have to know where we're getting our beliefs from. Despite the fact some brothers, or sisters from others, sometimes say that, well, why the Shia stuck in the history? Well, that's the history. Yes, the history is so important. We have to learn, we have to understand, we have to study from who we're receiving this information. Why am I supposed to pray 5 times a day? Who said that? Why am I supposed to say, I shouldn't touch this, I should touch that, I shouldn't go there, I should go there? I have to know who, where, what happened, right? And specifically nowadays that almost, hundreds and hundreds of sects and religions and a school of thoughts is out there from different religions, right? So I have to understand who brought this for me and analyze that history and know the true history. So we talk about the immigration to Habasha and what happened over there. We talk about Afsani Qaraniq, the lies that they, created against Rasulullah up until today, unfortunately, right? That once you go to the history, some books of traditions and hadiths, you realize, subhanAllah, some lies and accusations about Rasulullah, that you just want to sit down and cry for mazlumiyat of Rasulullah, how mazlum he is, that not only during his time they were treating him this way, after his demise they did this to him, and then up until today. There's a book called Sayri Dar Sahihain, a review through the Sahihain, Sahih Muslim and Sahih Bukhari. Some of the traditions that he's bringing, it's a book, it's like documented, it's not that good. That Rasulullah, he was into many of na'uzu billah, fisq and haram. Rasulullah, once he was with one of his wife, for example, that he was into one of the parties, wedding parties, and there was haram music and everything, and he was listening, and his head on the shoulder of the wife on the shoulder of Rasulullah, something like that, and they told him one of those Sahaba are coming. So, and he was scared. Rasulullah says, remove, no, we shouldn't do that. Many of these lies, and Rasulullah, I can't even say it right now, it's going to be documented. It's not even good on the member of Rasulullah to talk about these things. So, therefore, we have to understand what happened. We have to understand what is sahih, what is not sahih, what is correct, what is not correct to get there. So, after the immigration to Habasha, Ethiopia, what happened is that a group of Muslims left. Who left to Habasha? The majority of who were in Mecca were Bani Hashim. And they have to stay because remember, one of the reasons they couldn't hurt and kill Rasulullah was what? Hazrat Abu Talib and Bani Hashim. Right? So they are there to support. Before I move forward to this topic, that what happened after that, I want us to recognize this deen that we have right now, me and you sitting in Shab Jummah because of this deen, this religion. We're praying because of that. We're reciting Quran because of that. This religion that is in front of us, how many people were suffered and tortured and killed, became shaheed for the sake of this maktab that is in front of us. This Quran that we have in our hands, right? How many innocent souls were sacrificed? How many pure blood were on the ground, dropped on the ground for the sake of what? This Quran that is in our hands. On top of all, Rasulullah himself, on top of all Ahlul Bayt, on top, you see that Imam Hussein alayhi salatu wasalam, salawat. Allah being sacrificed for the sake of what? This Quran and this Salah. So don't you think we are going to be held accountable for this religion that is in front of us? The day of judgment, excuse me, this religion that so easily you had it, and you were sitting, you had fun, and you were praying in safety and everything, inshallah, and you know what happened to this religion? And how you had it, you're responsible towards the blood of shuhada. Not only shuhada of the beginning of Islam, shuhada of recently, for example, in Pakistan, in India, in Iran, in Afghanistan, shuhada of Islam, right? And we'll have more and more until the day of judgment, shaheed, right? We're responsible towards that. That this deen is for us, and what we have to see what we're doing with this deen. So what happened is that when the Quraysh became so angry and upset about the fact that Rasulullah, they couldn't control Rasulullah. And now Islam is what? It's spread out to different countries now, like it's in Africa. And people heard about this. The expansion of Islam made them upset. They couldn't hurt Rasulullah, they couldn't kill Rasulullah and everything. And now every day, more people become Muslim, more people convert to Islam, right? Of course, they become what? Upset. And they started thinking, what can we do to stop this expansion, to do our best against that? What can we do? They got together, you know that they had Shura, the council of Quraysh. Darun Nadwa, they were calling it. Next to Kaaba, they were sitting, the Buzurgan of Quraysh. Abu Sufyan, Umayyah, Abu Jahl, Abu Lahab, they're all sitting, and others, Umayyah, Utbah, all this together, Saran Kufr, Buzurgan Kufr, together to think about what can we do to stop this. Their life is in danger, their position is in danger, right? The whole life is in danger. Don't think that was easy. You want a similar example? Imagine a country that is established, has power. Everything is there. President, white presidents, the army, and everything. Now, a group of people are there, a threat against them, right? What usually countries call them what? Threat against national security, right? The worst punishment for them. That was the threat against national security for the Quraysh. It's not easy for them, right? So they got together, what can we do to stop the influence of Islam and Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. They all got to the conclusion that we need to do what? Have sanction against them. We call it financial siege. To grab the artery of Muslims when you put pressure on them, right? And we're going to say what kind of things they're going to do. It's not just financial. They can't breathe anymore. We choke them inside. So this way is the best way, without fighting with them, without having, attack. So they will attack us, and then the Bani Hashim, and then Quraysh, and here, and then some of their supporters. So let's do this. And they decided to have that. And they said, we're going to have the sanction. So wrote it down. All the Quraysh, they signed it, and they hang it inside Kaaba. What are the things that they decided? Number one, any financial transactions with the followers of Muhammad ﷺ is prohibited. No transaction. Think about it. We're talking about a lot of families. They want to go buy food, buy water, buy something, not buy water at that time. Maybe, yeah, because they put sanction against the water as well. Get something, food, necessities, clothing, something, sanction. You cannot have any transaction, including the foods and necessities with Muslims. Number one. Second, any interactions with Muslim is prohibited. Seeing them back and forth is prohibited. You're not supposed to have any interactions with Muslim. You're not supposed to be dealing with, hanging out with them. No, prohibited. You shouldn't do that. We're going to what? We're going to choke them inside, right? We're going to do something so they suffer from inside. No transaction, no interactions with them. Any marital relationship with them, prohibited. You cannot give wives to them or son to them. You cannot get anything from them. No marital transaction. And that was very important, right? Because remember, the tribal structure of the peninsula at that time was happening through the marriage. One of the reasons, we talk about it later, that we have the marriage at that time, Rasulullah, despite there's no need, the marriage happened at that time was a political movement at that time to get support from the other tribes. So when someone was getting married with another tribe, we're getting the support of that tribe as well, right? So that tribe, with their life and death, we're just supporting that person because it's part of our family. So no marital relationship means what? You're limited now, right? And the fourth one, we should support the opponents of Muhammad under any occasions and circumstances. The right is always with the enemies of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So you see that it's all about irrationally against Islam. This is literally to kill them, right? The sanction against Islam, against Muslim, against Rasulullah. You might see nowadays as well, the sanctions against Muslims, against some countries here and there, that's not something. Remember, we said nothing happened nowadays unless there is a history, there is a record in the history about this. Any of these shubahat and questions and doubts and whatever is happening, we have it in history. No matter how beautifully they're painting it. Or this, for example, scientist came and he is having great questions about why Islam is. When you go back to Islam, we see that happened at the time of Imam Sadiq, Imam Baqir, they answered this, right? So it's always in the history. That's why Imam Ali said, learn history because there's a ibrah and lesson in history for you. So you don't go to the same path and do the same wrong things that people did before, right? Anything, whatever happened in our society right now, in the world, whatever groups are coming, whatever situation is happening, we had it in the history. How many of aqwam, how many of the groups, how many of the clans and tribes were punished by adab of Allah before they did something, and we might have again. Anyhow, so they had this, they signed this, and very strictly they practiced this against Muslim, right? And they put it in what? They put it in Kaaba. So here what happened is this. So we call it about Hazrat Abu Talib. He asked Bani Hashim, the relatives, to support the Prophet of Islam and to move to one of the valleys which called Valley of Abu Talib. So here's the thing, the city of Mecca contains a number of very tall mountains around it, okay? And some valleys between the mountains were there. Each of the clans at that time were living in one of these valleys, okay? And they were calling the valleys Shi'b. Each of the clans were living in one of them. One of them was what? Called Shi'b Abu Talib, which of course was belonged to what? The family of Abu Talib, right? Which was around 200 or 300 meters away from Kaaba. So when that happens, these sanctions happen. And remember other sessions we said that they were looking to kill Rasulullah, right? They were looking for a situation to kill Rasulullah. So literally Muslims are immigrated and there's just Bani Hashim left. So they decided to, one of the reasons he wanted that immigrate to that going to the Shi'b was because of the life of the Rasulullah, right? Because they could attack him anytime, any moment to kill him. So it's better to be there, more content. And when they went there, they had like some structure that they were, watching out if the enemies are coming or not coming. So somehow protecting Rasulullah and Muslims. So some of the, history and such as Ibn Sa'd said that it began the 1st of Muharram of the 7th of the prophetic mission after the prophethood and the Ba'ath that happened. The 7th year, what happened is that the Shi'b started happening. And one of the most difficult parts of the history of Muslims. Our discussion is analyzing history. It's not just the history, right? Analyzing history. At the beginning, what I said, how many people were tortured, were killed for the sake of this religion that is in front of us, this religion that I am teaching to my children. If I decrease anything from this religion while I'm transferring it to the next generation, look at this. Me teaching Islam and Quran to my children, it's not I'm teaching just to my children. I'm transferring Islam from this generation to what? To the next generation. Look at it this way. My sisters who are, alhamdulillah, great mothers, when you teach your children about something about Islam, you are training the next generations of Muslims. The most difficult and important and sensitive job that you can ever, significant job that you can ever find. Why? Because it's a job of Anbiya and Awliya, right? Teaching Tawheed. And so while I'm going to teach the next generation, if I do anything based on my own understanding, my own feelings, tafsir bil-ra'i, I feel this is too much for my children. I think, my children living in the US, let's take this part from them. Be free, sweetheart, whatever you want to do here and there. I'm responsible in front of all those people and Muslims who were tortured, killed, because of this deen. Because this is an amanat in my hand, right? This deen and religion that I have, literally, it's the trust of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in my hand. It's the trust of Allah. I am trusted by Allah, gave it to me, and I have to be very trustworthy to transfer it to the next generation, right? It's not about me, however I want to do it. The way that Rasulullah, Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, kept this religion intact, healthy, secured, and he gave it to Muslims. We have to do our best, the same, to give it to the next generation. This condition of Shaykh Abi Talib, 3 years Muslims were afflicted by that. And I'm going to tell you what happened to Muslims at that time. The basic necessities couldn't get. The food was prohibited. And look at this. There were children, there were elders, some sick people over there, right? Men and women, innocent people. 3 years. Think about it today, 3 years. They can't even buy and purchase food. It's illegal. Look at human rights, right? It's illegal to purchase food, to purchase, water, anything to drink. And I want you to think about it. What didn't let the Muslims to break? What didn't let Muslims to give up? Come on, it's about your life. It's not about just someone is telling me go back to your country. It's about, I can't, my children are crying. There's not enough food here, right? One date, one kajou, one khurma, one date, one rota per day to some of them. Sometimes one for few men. It's not a joke. What helped them? What made them to be so strong, right? To be able to tolerate this situation. What do you think is it? Let me ask you, what is it? Iman. What else? Iman, not only Iman, because I can have Iman, it's okay. What kind of Iman is this? It is so difficult. What else? What is it? Thawab. Ajr, yes. Thawab, yes. Inshallah. That's the beginning of Islam, by the way. Muslims don't know nothing about Islam yet. Don't think about yourself. Just few here and there ayat came. Not enough fiqh, not enough akhlaq, not enough nothing. Just few ayat came. Muslims don't know anything specifically about, oh my God, here and there. Here's something about heaven and hell, something, but very limited. Think about that, right? Very new to this concept. Not today, alhamdulillah, the heaven is like this, mashallah. So what else? The iman, the thawab. Unity of Muslims. Ahsan. Supporting unity of Muslims. That's a good point. Once we're together, we're together. We live or we die together. Whatever happened to you, it hurts me as well, right? The whole body, when something happened to one part of that body, part of your body, right? Happens to the other part. Whatever happens to your eyes, your whole body hurts, your whole head, right? What else?
The trust in the Holy Prophet.
Ahsan, the trust in the Prophet of Islam, that he said that this is what we need to do. Following the Imam and following the Hujjat of Allah. Doesn't matter how, here's the point, doesn't matter how difficult it is. Doesn't matter how it looks like. Are you sure? Maybe you are making a mistake, Rasulullah, because people are suffering, children are dying here. Are you sure? No, there's no question. When Imam is leading, we're following. Right? Ahsan. What else? See, mashallah, great points coming out. What else? What made them to be so strong?
Same answer, like Iman bil Ghaib.
Of Muslims?
Yeah, they believe they trust in what will happen to them.
We're dealing with some normal, regular Muslims. They don't have a ghaib, they don't know anything. It's just, By the way, some of them, they're not Muslim among this. Some of them, they were just supporters of the family, remember? Some of them because of the family, tribal structure, right? What else? Ikhlas of the believers. Sincerity of the believers at that time, right? Things that we need today. No matter how difficult it becomes a situation nowadays. For example, remember after 9/11, how they were attacking Muslims, the society, the pressure, right? And many people gave up. When we look back, when we analyze, many people were hiding a lot of things. Many people, I don't want to go to details. They did something not knowing that's a piece of the history, piece of test from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And you're not the first group of Muslims you're afflicted by that. Look at the history. Yes, they're going to come in here and there, they tell you some words and embarrass you in front of others, blah, blah, blah. But look what happened to Muslims 3 years here and there. Right now, look at some Muslims around the world, what they're suffering from. Maybe worse than Shaykh Abi Talib, right? So the sincerity of them as well. Like sincerely, that little. What I meant here is this. You don't have to know this much to be a good Muslim. You can know this much, but be sincere in what you know and practice. It's better to know this much, practice it, rather than let's invite someone to give a lot of information to us. Let's invite someone can give us enough so we can work and practice. Yeah, you know, the speeches over there and here, that Maulana, that is speaker, you know, something. Although I agree, you know, we have to, our colleagues, my colleagues should be, but had we ever looked at ourselves? Maybe there's hijab in my heart doesn't let me hear the message that I'm supposed to hear. Why do I have to quickly blame the teacher, right? So only during the month of Haram, the Hajj, Muharram, and Rajab, they could come out because you know the situation. They could come out and have some transaction, get some food, whatever they could. Even during these times, when they were going for a transaction, guess what? The polytheists, the mushrikeen were coming and buying everything more expensive than the Muslims were offering. They knew where they're coming, right? During the Hajj, for example, if they got Abu Jahl were coming and says, I purchased all these things more expensive than anything. Raise your prices so they can buy it. See khibasat when it happens, you know, this animosity to what level? And the history is saying they could hear 200-300 meters from the Kaaba, they could hear the crying of the babies out of hunger and the situation we afflicted. This rotten, this hard hearts of people didn't affect it all, right? So even during the time they wanted to purchase something, they didn't let. They had some spies around the Shi'ab. Do not let anyone, anything to go inside. Sometimes here and there, Amir al-Mu'minin Imam Ali was going out, doing something, bring it in, you know, some brave people like him. Sometimes, you know, the uncle of Hazrat Khadija were bringing a camel full of food, for example, close to the Shi'ab, and were releasing him, and, you know, to the Shi'ab, and he was going. Sometimes they were confiscating it or something. Somehow they were coming some food back and forth, but, you know, how many people are there in a situation like that? So around the third year, what happened, all this situation is next to them. They're hearing them, they're seeing them, and this is their relatives, family, right? Abu Jahl is the uncle of Rasulullah. So some of the Quraysh started being affected by it, saying it, and then having some small gathering together. This is not right. These are our families. This is our, you know, we cannot do it. You know, we shouldn't do it. And if it was their family, maybe they would do something. Anyhow, started and talking and everything. This is one of the first miracles of Rasulullah, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That he told his uncle Abu Talib, he told him that go to Kaaba, open the door, termites destroyed that piece of paper, the pact that they created, the termites destroyed it. Where is Rasulullah? In the ship. Where is the statement, the paper, whatever they had? In the Kaaba, closed. Who has the key? So Rasulullah is telling, this is the ghaib, right? Telling them to go there. Once they went inside, they opened the door, they realized the termites ate everything except the beginning of the letter. It says, Bismika Allahumma. The Arab Jahili, the ignorant, the Arab ignorance, they were starting their letters with this letter, Bismika Allahumma, with the name of Allah. They believed in Allah, but that Allah that we believe, no. They said these are the butts and the idols are representatives of that idols, right? Anyhow, with the name of Him, they were starting. The termites ate everything except that piece. So literally, officially, whatever the pact they had was dissolved. And as soon as Abu Talib heard about this, informed the others, and then came out. The reason I said this is because why? Okay, so this is destroyed, but they can write it down again, right? No, there were some issues inside the Quraysh's role they didn't want. So once, for example, Abu Jahl stood up and says, "Nope, we're gonna no, this is what it is." They had the pact and they promised until their death they're gonna follow this. Not 3 years, until the end of their life they're gonna do this. Either the life of Rasulullah and Muslims or their life, right? So what happened is that Abu Jahl stood up and says, "No, I do not let that to be ended." Then he realized that Quraysh, some of the Quraysh stood up against him. He knew that behind his back, there's some, talks and everything. So he sat down silent. So that was dissolved. Again and again, situation that happens here, 3 years, this deen, this religions, right? How many of some of the mustashriqeen, some of the people saying Islam is spread because of the violations, because of the sword, because of attacking here and there. Look at this. Violations of Islam against others or against Muslims, you mean, right? The basic human rights were violated here as well. But the only thing that can help us, brothers and sisters, the only thing, let me go to the different route here. If you're looking to train some children who will be successful from different topics, as a psychologist, I'm saying, forget about being a Maulana here. So, oh, he's just biased, right? As a psychologist, if you want children who be successful in education, financially, in moral aspects, akhlaq and tarbiyat, if you want them to respect you, if you want them when they raise up, take care of you, whatever you want, all these positive things, me seeing all these families around the world, talking to them, being inside their dilemmas and issues they have in the families. If you raise them, let's put it this way, not for the sake of Islam for now, for the sake of yourself, right? If you raise them with the true iman and akhlaq, you get all those things. I remember my father when I was little, he was telling me, among his advices, he was saying, even if you want dunya, for the sake of dunya, make sure you follow this guy. Right? Psychological, emotional, social, any aspects. I can go to details, anyone who wants to prove it one by one, right? This is what it works. And if you want to do that, let them learn the sincerity and the strength in iman. We do not want some liberals that as soon as someone says, you shouldn't do it, oh yeah, maybe I should. We want strong in iman, right? We want the firm believers. The first and foremost society can help them together is the society of the family. The same way as I said, between husband and wife, the issue happened, the fight happened. This person wants to, say something against the wife against the husband. Every day I'm dealing with this, every single day. Today, yesterday, around us, everywhere else. Started cursing each other. I let them talk yesterday when they're done. I said, okay. Do you feel good now? Did you release your anger right, like this? Whatever you wanted to say, you said that, right? You're so and so. Do you feel good now? You see that you let this wild horse to run as fast as it wants, and you had zero control over yourself. Does it feel good? See how the anger comes? Well, if we can, because through the teachings of Islam, control over anger, وَالْكَاظِمِينَ الْغَيْظَ and other situations, it never happens. I can't go to details of examples. We have little ones here that sometimes, little of these mistakes leads to legal things, and people comes and arrest and a lot of situation. and then regret after that. I don't want to, I don't know, I just lost my control. Push him a little bit. Anyhow, so learning the Islam came to us with this type of difficulties. We're responsible towards this to move towards that. And on top of all, Rasulullah himself, that he established this deen with how much difficulties. The 3 years was over. Muslims get back to their houses. Right after that, a few days after that, a few weeks after that, one of the most difficult tragedies happened to Rasulullah. His only supporter, the most important supporter of Islam, Hazrat Abu Talib, he passed away. If you were asking him to stay there for another 3 years, it was better and easier than what? Because the only one who could stop Quraysh from pushing more was Abu Talib. At the age of around 80 something, he passed away. That was a huge impact. Rasulullah. Ya Allah, couldn't you wait a little bit, let Rasulullah rest a little bit, and then? We think sometimes the situation happen in our lives, right? Things come after another one. Why everything is coming together? Well, why you're questioning it? If this is your mistake, go fix it. If it's not your mistake, out of your control, there's someone else is planning it. Everything can come together, yes, sometimes. Anyone dearer than Rasulullah to Allah? No. Anyone were more tortured in life than Rasulullah and Ahlul Bayt? No. Any of them said anything against these tests? No. Some of the sisters, I recently talked to them, different examples, different topics. One of them, cancer recently. Another one have a child, in trouble and situation, sick. Sometimes when I talk to them, I said, Maulana, last week you told me you brought the topic of Ahlul Bayt, their afflictions, their tragedies, what happened to them. It made me so calm when I think about my issues. Where am I? Where are they? Their position and levels. It calmed me so down to see, first, this is the sunnah of Allah. Second, I'm in the same path. It calms me down. Anyhow, so that happens, and Abu Talib passed away. A little bit about Hazrat Abu Talib, which has been oppressed a lot until today. That the majority of, Ahlul Sunnah, they believe he was kafir, he was mushrik, and he's in azab right now. Which we believe, which proof we're going to have, and I want your help to prove it as well, that he was one of the best mu'mins who supported Islam and Rasulullah. Up until today, we have in the books that said, no, he was kafir, he was mushrik, there's no sign or signature of his iman according to them, so he was mushrik. Right? First and foremost, what do you think this animosity is against him? Why? Because of his sons, right? On top of all, Amir al-Mu'mineen, right? It's very, very clear. You know what is the proof? Imam Hussein in Karbala, he said, why did I do? Why you're against me? Did I do any halal, haram, halal? Did I kill any of you guys? Anything? No. Buqzan la'abik. We're killing you because we hate your father. Right? So what else? One, his son. What else? Why they're having these issues against him? I said that in other nights, if you remember.
Or bring his contributions to Islam down.
Bring his contribution to Islam down. Why?
Because he was the father of.
Well, we said that. That's the first one. The father of Amir. What else? He thinks he can revise it and give me another reason. What else? Okay, so Hazrat Hamza did the same thing as well. Why they're not saying Hamza was not Muslim? He did something. He had a strategy, if you remember. He used politics. We're going to see if people listen or not, right? It's other, sessions. What was the strategy of Abu Talib? When the mushrikeen were coming to him, how he was calming them down? By saying, oh, I'm Muslim as well. He was hiding his iman so he wouldn't be against them. So they were coming, they wouldn't see him as what? Opponent. They were seeing him as his own side, their own side, and they were dealing with him. That's why multiple times he could bring down their anger, the kuffar Quraysh, because of what? Because they thought he's not, actually. He hides this, right? But some of this reason. Now let's prove it. The iman of Abu Talib is important. The iman of Abu Talib, this person, right? Because again, it's sometimes, let me tell you what. Let's come to today. They come and attack not your religion, not your faith, would attack the figures that you believe in. One of the strategies of the enemies is to destroy the heroes that you and your children have. They don't come question Karbala, that Karbala doesn't happen, never happened. No, they can't. It's history. They come and question the intention of Imam Hussein. Why Imam Hussein? No, maybe some issue with Yazid, even this, right? Abu Fadl Abbas, no. They try to destroy the figures of what? Heroes. Once you don't have heroes, then you start questioning everything. Right? So we have to understand this. Up until today, they're doing it, by the way. This person, that person. The iman of Hazrat Abu Talib. Give me some examples. Of course, his iman is not only because of the kinship, and Rasulullah is his, definitely adopted son. But at the same time, the iman of Abu Talib, and how can we prove it? What examples do you have here?
The khutbah that he recited for Prophet's marriage.
The khutbah that he recited, some of his khutbah and sermons, good. Some of the things we have from him. We have a lot of poems left from him, and then he literally said the iman about this. This is one. What else? Say it again. That somehow that Brother Asim said. What else? Yeah. Think about logically. What we are doing here, we're trying to practice the power of analysis together. If some people are coming and questioning part of your deen or religion, you shouldn't be intimidated by it, right? Try to, the fact is that you have the true answer. You might not know the answer, but there is a true answer, right? So the power of analysis, this is very important. In the debates, when someone comes and says, we have to learn this as well, right?
The surah in Quran where Allah says, when we found you hungry, we fed you. So
they might say it's not him, someone else. His name is not there. Give me something he did. Come on, go back to whatever I said about Abu Talib, what he did. He protected Rasulullah to what extent? He jeopardized, he put his own position and the life of his sons at risk for the sake of Rasulullah. The kinship and family to some levels, right? Not to this level that he literally losing his position as the Buzurg and the big name in Quraysh. For the sake of Muhammad, he was little, you just raised him up, right? So there should be something stronger than that. Second, he was literally in Shayba Abi Talib. He was asking Rasulullah in the middle of the night. He was waking up Rasulullah, go sleep over there, somewhere else. He had his son, such as Amir al-Mu'minin, you sleep in the bed of Rasulullah. So when they were coming, like in the ship, if they were coming to kill him, you'll be killed, right? So Amir al-Mu'minin is already in Laylatul Mabit. He's already used to it by the recommendation of his father as well, right? Who would jeopardize and put the risk of his own son for the sake of the son of his brother, right? It's the second one. And his position that he, what he did. And once in Kaaba, in Mecca, it was a big famine. Nothing. They didn't have any rain in anything, right? And Rasulullah was it was a kid. So everybody came to who? That's the interesting part of history. Everybody came to Abu Talib. Please go pray for rain. Look at this, the holy, figure of this person. They asked him to pray, and who he brought with himself? Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And when he brought, this is the important part. He looked at this guy and he prayed, and he says, Ya Allah, for the sake of this ghulam. Ghulam means what? Son, right? For the sake of this son, the little one is ghulam. For the sake of this son, what? You bring the ring. And the history is saying that not too long after that, the ring came. But there's something that he knows, the connection between him and Allah that he's bringing him, right? Once, another proof is that once as Abu Talib was going to Damascus, to Sham for a business trip, and Rasulullah was small. And then once he was leaving, he was supposed to leave Rasulullah in Mecca. So he left, he wanted to leave. He wanted to leave, and all of a sudden Rasulullah came, a kid comes, and then he started crying. I want to come with you. Probably 10, 11-year-old, around that age. I want to come with you. Don't leave me alone here. As soon as he saw the tears in the eyes of this Rasulullah little one, right, Muhammad, he couldn't tolerate it. He started crying. He says, okay, we'll change everything. You can come with me. Right? There should be some connections here beside and above and beyond these things. As we mentioned, the life of himself, stood in front of the Quraysh, asked the whole Bani Hashim to go to share Abi Talib for the sake of supporting one of the members of the family. Doesn't make sense. You put the life of all these brothers, men and women and children in danger. They're dying here for the sake of one of the family member that he says, I'm a prophet. And you don't believe in him. That doesn't make sense. Logically, right? That doesn't make sense. Now you tell me, why nowadays people say, he's mushrik, he's kafir, stuff like that, right? Some traditions about this, it makes you shocked. The reason I said this was discussed at the time of Ahlul Bayt as well. Hadith from Imam Zain al-Abidin, Imam Sajjad alayhi salatu wasalam. I'm shocked why people are doubting the sincerity of Abu Talib, while if they're saying that he was not Muslim, it's haram for any Muslim woman to stay in the nikah of a kafir when she converted to Islam. If he was not Muslim, how come Hazrat Fatima bint Asad, until the end of the life of Abu Talib, she was in the nikah of Abu Talib? Right? The iman and she was one of the first ladies who become Muslim, right? And Imam Baqir says, the iman of Abu Talib was better and higher than the iman of many people. Imam Sadiq said, Hazrat Abu Talib was like the Ashab Kahf, the people of cave, right? Why? He had iman in his heart, but he was showing kufr, disbeliefs, what they did, right? To protect themselves and their life, and whoever they could support and help. And Imam says, because of that, they had 2 ajr and thawab. They had 2 rewards because of the difficulties in it, because of what they did and how they helped others as well. So that happened, and a few days after the demise of Abu Talib, another big tragedy. Now, one of the biggest piece of, the source of peace for Rasulullah, his only wife, the one who supported him, the one who supported Islam. We're talking about Hazrat Khadija, right? That intimate relationship that Rasulullah had with that great lady, that when he was tortured by anyone or anything outside, where he was coming inside, this source of peace would calm him down, right? It literally said when he came from Hara, what happened, right? Okay. Now she passed away. Some tradition, 35 days, 3 days, 25 days, around that time. These are big scars for Rasulullah, for the Ummah of Islam, right? And the feeling of Rasulullah here, that what happened to him, what do we see that? There's hikmah and reason. These things happen. These difficulties looks like make us stronger and stronger. Once you go through difficulties, problems, it becomes so tough, sometimes intolerable. I can't, it's too much. But believe Islam and Quran. Believe me that Islam says, Allah says, He will never give you a heavy load that you cannot tolerate. And it's always for the sake of your benefit. If it is not your fault. Sometimes it's our fault again, we have to do. Sometimes it's our fault. It can be a test from Allah at the same time as well. In the middle of our mistake, Allah tests your child who breaks something, right? It's his fault, it's her fault that broke it. In the middle of that test, that problem, you test. You want to say, who broke it? Why you want to test him right now? No, I want to see if he's telling you the truth, all right? In the middle of that, he just broke it. He's so scared of it. I know, but just want to say, I want to teach him something. Don't be scared of him. Tell the truth, even if it's against you. Right? Sometimes the fact. Anyhow, so this has a huge impact on Muslims and Rasulullah himself. And now the end is this: the pressure of Quraysh started increasing way more than before the demise of Hazrat Abu Talib, because of, again, there's no one such as Abu Talib to stand in front of them to protect Rasulullah. And now they're free. Now they're free to do whatever they want because there's no one to their levels. Rasulullah is still, younger than all of them, and then their enemies and stuff like that. So it started now to go against Rasulullah and Muslims and the tortures and everything. Then inshallah we'll continue to talk about it. So again, when we review these pieces of history and yourself review it, try to see what you can get from the history for your own benefit today. Try to see what you can see in the society now that is similar to the piece of history that happened before, and get the lesson from it, and inshallah the ibrah should be able to be more successful as well, inshallah. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Muhammadin wa ajil farajhum. اللهم عجل لوليك الفرج والعافية والناس ومد في أمره الشريف وزين الأرض بطول بقائه اجعلنا من أعوانه بأنصاره وشيعته يا رحمن رحيم ثبت قلوبنا على دينك. Ya Allah, Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim, we ask you for the sake of Anbiya and Awliya, for the sake of your Rasul, hasten in the dhuhr of our Imam Mahdi. Ya Allah, Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim, help us, help our generation, let them stay strong in the path of Islam, Quran, and Ahlul Bayt ila yawm al-qiyamah. Ya Allah, Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim, let us follow the path of those who sacrifice their lives for the sake of Islam, for the sake of Quran. Let us do our responsibility to support Islam and Quran. Ya Allah, Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim, all brothers and sisters who have hajat and requests, for the sake of this moment and this time, give all of them khair hajat. Ya Allah, Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim, any of Muslimin and Muslims around the world that are under difficulties, issues, problems, provide opportunities for their freedom at this moment. Ya Allah, Ya Rahman, and those who are sick, heal them all, and those who passed away, send the tabab and reward from our gathering. Your soul, inshallah. Rahim Allah, and yaqra al-Fatihata ma as-salawat.
Muhammad wa ali Muhammad salawat. We'll now have Ziyarat Warsa, and I would like to request Brother Hassan Zaidi to please come and recite. Please get ready. Muhammad wa ali Muhammad salawat.
ज़ियारत इमाम हुसैन अलैहिस्सलाम। अस्सलामु अलैका या अबा अब्दुल्लाह, अस्सलामु अलैका या इब्न रसूलिल्लाह, अस्सलामु अलैका व रहमतुल्लाहि व बरकातुहू, अस्सलामु अलैका या वारिस आदम सिफ़तिल्लाह, अस्सलामु अलैका या वारिस नूहिन नबिय्यिल्लाह, अस्सलामु अलैका या वारिस इब्राहीम खलीलिल्लाह, अस्सलामु अलैका या वारिस मूसा कलीमिल्लाह, अस्सलामु अलैका या वारिस ईसा रूहिल्लाह, अस्सलामु अलैका या वारिस मुहम्मदिन हबीबिल्लाह, अस्सलामु अलैका या वारिस अली अमीरिल मोमिनीन वलिय्यिल्लाह, अस्सलामु अलैका या इब्न मुहम्मदिन अल मुस्तफा, अस्सलामु अलैका या इब्न अली अल मुर्तदा, अस्सलामु अलैका या इब्न फातिमा अल ज़हरा, अस्सलामु अलैका या इब्न खदीजा अल कुबरा, अस्सलामु अलैका या तारल्लाहि व इब्न तारिही वल वित्र अल मौतूर, अशहदु अन्नका क़द क़मत अस्सलाह व अतैत अज़्ज़काह व अमरत बिल मअरूफ व नहैत अनिल मुनकर व अताअत अल्लाह व रसूलहू हत्ता वताअकल यकीन, फ़लान अल्लाहु उम्मतन ततलक्का वलान अल्लाहु उम्मतन ज़लमक्का वलान अल्लाहु उम्मतन समियत बिज़ालिका फरदियत बिह या मौलाया या अबा अब्दिल्लाह, अशहदु अन्नका कुन्त नूरन फिल अस्लाबि शामिखा वल अरहामिल मुताहरा, लम तुनज्जिस्कल जाहिलियतु बिअंजासिहा वलम तुलबिस्का मिन मुज़लहिमति थियाबिहा, वअशहदु अन्नका मिन दाइमिद्दीन व अरकानिल मोमिनीन, वअशहदु अन्नका इमामुल बर अत्तक़ियुर रज़ी अज़्ज़कियुल हादियुल महदी, वअशहदु अन्ना लअइम्मता मिन वल्दिका कलिमतु तक़वा व अलामुल हुदा वल उर्वतुल वुस्क़ा वल हुज्जतु अला अहलि दुनिया, वअशहदु अल्लाह व मलाइकतहु व अंबियाहु व रसुलहु इन्नी बिकुम मुमिन व बिया बिकुम मुकिन बशराए दीनी व ख़वातीमी अमली व क़ल्बि लिक़ल्बिकुम सिल्म व अमरी लिअमरिकुम मुत्तबे, सलवातुल्लाहि अलैकुम व अला अरवाहिकुम व अला अजसादिकुम व अला अजसामिकुम व अला शाहिदिकुम व अला गाइबिकुम व अला ज़ाहिरिकुम व अला बातिनिकुम। ज़ियारत हज़रत अलैहिस्सलाम। अस्सलामु अलैका या इब्न रसूलिल्लाह, अस्सलामु अलैका या इब्न नबिय्यिल्लाह, अस्सलामु अलैका या इब्न अमीरिल मोमिनीन, अस्सलामु अलैका या इब्न हुसैन शहीद, अस्सलामु अलैका अय्युहश शहीद व इब्नुश शहीद, अस्सलामु अलैका अय्युहल मज़लूम व इब्नुल मज़लूम, लान अल्लाहु उम्मतन क़तलतका व लान अल्लाहु उम्मतन ज़लमतका वलान अल्लाहु उम्मतन समियत बिज़ालिका फरदियत बिह। अब्बास अलैहिस्सलाम। अस्सलामु अलैका या इब्न अमीरिल मोमिनीन, अस्सलामु अलैका अय्युहल अब्दुस सालिहुल मुत्तियु लिल्लाहि व लिरसूलिही, अशहदु अन्नका क़द जाअता व नसाता व सबरता हत्ता वताअकल यकीन, लान अल्लाहु ज़ालिमीन लकुम मिनल अव्वलीन वल आखिरीन वल्हिक़हुम बिदरकिल जहीम। ज़ियारत साहिर शुहदा अलैहिस्सलाम। अस्सलामु अलैकुम या औलिया अल्लाह व अहिब्बाह, अस्सलामु अलैकुम या अस्फिया अल्लाह व आबिदाह, अस्सलामु अलैकुम या अंसार दीनिल्लाह, अस्सलामु अलैकुम या अंसार रसूलिल्लाह, अस्सलामु अलैकुम या अंसार अमीरिल मोमिनीन, अस्सलामु अलैकुम या अंसार फातिमा अज़-ज़हरा सय्यदतु निसाइल आलमीन, अस्सलामु अलैकुम या अंसार अबी मुहम्मद बिन हसन इब्न अली बिन ज़कीन नासिर, अस्सलामु अलैकुम या अंसार अबी अब्दुल्लाह बिन अबी अंतुम व उम्मी बिकुम मताबतिल अर्ज़ुल लतीफ़ यदफिनतुम फज़्लुन फौज़न अज़ीमा फलैतनी कुन्तु मअकुम फ़ाफ़ूज़ मअकुम। अस्सलामु अलैका या साहिबल अस्र वज़्ज़मान, अल-अमान अल-अमान अल-अमान, अस्सलामु अलैका या खलीफतर रहमान, अस्सलामु अलैका या इमाम अल-इंस वल जान, अस्सलामु अलैका या शरीकल कुरान, अस्सलामु अलैका या कामिल कुफ्र व तुगयान, अजलल्लाहु फरजक व सअलल्लाहु मखरजक, वस्सलामु अलैकुम व रहमतुल्लाहि व बरकातुहू।
Muhammad wa ali Muhammad salawat. Just a quick announcement again for the family picnic, which is planned on July 11th, Sunday. Please register via link that has been sent via emails and WhatsApp. We'll have Salatul Maghriban with Jama'ah, inshallah. There's time, but will you?